Well, greetings, test takers. This is Dean Tinney coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas. Shout out to Kaplan. Kaplan allows me to share their content, give you a free look on their content. For that, I owe them a little commercial. If you would like a Kaplan QBank or the quick sheets, great paid supplements. The quick sheets are kind of laminated. They're like $19, particularly on NASA exams. With my 10% discount, 10% takes it down a couple bucks, or a Kaplan QBank, certainly check it out as a paid supplement if you're not already in possession of Kaplan. If you're still making your decision about which study provider to use, the Kaplan QBank and Kaplan study materials, particularly on NASA, I give an A+, no surprise. Best free supplement is my YouTube channel, which you're watching presently. What you want to do on these practice exams, when I explicate them, explicate's the fancy word for, why right answers are right. It's a little more in-depth than an explanation, is what that word means. Very much like a NASA exam, right? Vocabulary. And these NASA exams are legalese. So what you might want to do is hit the pause button, make sure you, try and attempt to answer yourself and see how you did, and we'll see how we did together. So you don't get many aim and shoot, point and click that are in plain English. One of the challenges on the Series 63 is to figure out what you're being asked and then figure out what the answers mean. RTFQ, read the full question. RTFA, read the full answer set. This is one of the, I think, easiest questions you're going to encounter. It's just recognition. Which of the following statements concerning registration of agent of a broker-dealer? That's you, right? The cast of characters, you're an agent of the broker-dealer. And you shouldn't be struggling with that one. That's very much a test question. Registrations of persons, natural persons and unnatural persons. Your broker-dealer is an unnatural person, December 31st. Be careful. Just had to work with a guy the other day, and he was confusing registration of securities through qualification, and that's not December 31st. So I think we're going to get that one right. That's pretty straightforward. Just seeing if there's any good distractors, wrong answers that sound good. An investment advisor may perform which of the following functions? So an investment advisor, remember, is somebody who gives investment advice. They tell people they're in the business of giving investment advice, and they want to be paid for doing so. And so, there's exceptions to that when the investment advice is incidental. If the investment advice, comes from, is not being paid for. So there are some examples of that. So let's see. Investment advisor representative. Ooh, good thing I reread the question here. So they're not asking about the investment advisory firm, the unnatural person. They're asking about the investment advisor rep. That's a living, breathing human being walking planet Earth. For some of you, this will be your 65. I know that for some of you, your 63 is the last leg of your testing journey. But I know that for some of you, this is the just second to last leg of your testing journey. So if you're going to solicit for an investment advisory firm, you certainly need to be an investment advisor representative to do that. If you're going to be managing advisory accounts, portfolios, you certainly need to be a registered investment advisor to do that. Earn commissions. No, that is an agent of a broker-dealer. That's a 6, that's a 7. If you're just getting your 663 or your 763, well, that would be you, not an investment advisor rep. So we need 1, we need 2. Supervise those who render advice. Yeah, they don't have in the investment advisory side. We don't have principals. We don't have 9s, 10s, 24s. So the supervisors are also going to have 65s as well. So B. Remember, the big difference is transactions versus, fees. So that's a big kind of a distinguishing characteristic between those two. Say, I'm trying to make this big enough. I know some of you guys are on mobile, and I know some of you use audio. So I'm trying to blow up the screen enough that you can see it, even if you're on a mobile device. Who knows how successful that is, and I'm trying to do a better job. It takes me longer to do it, but I'm also trying to read you instead of just saying B, tell you what the right answer is and read it to you if you're using this audio. I've been told from several people that do use the channel that they're accessing it through audio. So I'm trying to slow down a little bit. read the question till you read the answer. When a sale violates provisions of the Uniform Securities Act, all the following statements regarding civil liabilities are true, except. So we're looking for something that is false. You might want to put a T or an F next to each of the statements. Maybe you can't get all the T's, 3 T's and an F, but even if you can get 2 T's for representing true statements, that gives you a 50-50. You got to make sure on these accept questions you downshift. So let's see. The decision to accept or reject the offer must be made within 30 days. That is true. The rescission must be at the current market price. That is not true. What I give you is I offer you with the right of rescission, your principal and interest, or that's if you want to rescind the sale, or allow you to keep the investment. So B is not true. The rescission offer must include interest. That's true. A buyer may not sue for compensation more than 3 years after the sale, and that too is true. And so the answer is B. Under the terms of the Uniform Securities Act, or the terms of the Uniform Securities Act, that's what you're getting tested on. If you haven't watched my Mighty 90 on the Uniform Securities Act, I highly recommend you do so. I will link it into this practice exam. I'll link it in the video description, and I'll link it in a pinned comment for you. You should definitely check it out. Anyways, which of the following investment advisor for purposes, which of the following is an investment advisory for purposes of state regulatory jurisdiction? So, investment advisors, that's the firm, a non-natural person, not a living, breathing human being. That's the firm. Is either going to be federally covered or state covered, never both. So we have, you're either going to be answering to the SEC as an investment advisory firm, or you're going to be answering to the state. All right, so we're looking for a state-covered investment advisor. A commercial bank with a place of business in the state that advises clients on banking matters? No. Remember, we said the definition of an investment advisory firm is ABC, a firm that gives investment advice. There's the A. They're in the business of giving investment advice, and they want compensation. This is just a bank being a bank. Fairly covered advisors. Remember, you're never both. You're never both. So if you belong to the feds, then you don't belong to the state. So B is not correct. An investment advisory subsidiary of a bank holding company. A lot of us organize that way. We have a holding company, and the holding company owns a broker-dealer. It owns an investment advisor. It might own a lot of things. But the key is not that it's a subsidiary of a bank. It's an investment advisor. It just tells you that. It has 20 million. So that's going to be the state. Remember, it's 100 million or more in assets under management. 100 million, you can choose whether it be federally covered. 110, you're federally covered. I don't know of anybody who has 100 million or more and wouldn't choose to be federally covered. So 20 is nowhere near that. And so that is going to be a state-covered investment advisor. That's the C choice. Investment advisor, subsidiary of bank holding company. Who cares about bank holding company? Investment advisory. Located in the state, manages 20 million. So that's why. Account located in the state offers general securities advice as an incidental. That's a key word. If you're getting an investment advisor, remember investment advice is a lawyer, accountant, teacher, and engineer late. And the investment advice you give is incidental. You're not going to have to register an investment advisory firm. So the answer for that one is C. Under Uniform Securities Act, the state administrator has the power to, and again, I hope you were, doing your practice laying base before you jump into doing practice finals. So many people will send me questions, which makes it transparent that they haven't actually laid enough base information to be doing practice problems. Anyways, that being said, I have a whole video on jurisdiction or power of the state administrator. And so does the state administrator, and I joke, the SEC is God and state administrators think they are, and the state administrator protects retail investors in his or her state. So do they have the power to examine files of registered reps who have offices their offices out of the state? They certainly do. If you have a registration outside of the state, some other state, they certainly have that regulatory authority. 2, designate an officer who will then have the power to take evidence regarding investigations. That's true. They don't have the power to send people to prison, right? They'd have to go to a judge. I mean, they can do that, but they got to go to court, and it's not the state administrator that would throw you in jail. It would be, a judge. So They don't have, they refer you for criminal prosecution. So the answer there is 1 and 2. Under the Uniform Securities Act, which of the following is not excluded from the definition of a broker-dealer? So as I said, one of the big challenges on 63 is just to figure out, what you're being asked. And so in plain English, you want to translate that as saying is one of these things is a broker-dealer. One of these things is not, right? So issuers of securities, no. Agents, that would be you. You're not a broker-dealer. You're a 6 or a 7. You're not a broker-dealer. You're an agent. Persons, now remember, it's a legal test you're taking. And remember, persons are people who can be held legally accountable. Remember, persons, people that are not persons can't be held legally accountable. Minors, somebody declared mentally incompetent, somebody deceased. But to say you're a person means you can be held legally accountable. And broker-dealers are unnatural persons. Unnatural persons, meaning they're not living, breathing human beings. Mitt Romney, when he ran for office, took some heat for saying corporations are people too. What he was saying is that they're persons, they're unnatural persons, they have rights. So C, a person who affects securities transactions, that sounds pretty much like a broker-dealer so far, on a regular basis, solely for their own account. So even though this looks like a broker-dealer only acting in its dealer principal capacity, that's still a broker-dealer. We're all called broker-dealers. And then, we can choose whether we only want to be brokers or agents for customers, or we want to be dealers and principals and charge markups and markdowns exclusively, or we want to do both. So this would be C. A bank is just a bank. So sometimes you don't want to use test-taking tricks unless all else fails. But when all else fails, sometimes too long to be wrong. Too long to be wrong. The C choice is much longer than everything else. Now, remember, you don't use test-taking tricks unless all else fails. All right, boy, this is a long one. When you get these paragraph ones, one thing I like to do when I get a long question is RTFQ, read the full question, RTFA, read the full answer set. But sometimes what I like to do is just read the last sentence first, just to kind of get a handle on what I'm being asked. Let me get a smaller size. Look like I've blown this thing up so much, but now I've got too big. We want to be able to see our answer set. There we go. Anna Stewart is a receptionist. Let's read the last thing. Under the Uniform Securities Act, Stewart. So they're asking about Stewart. So then we'll see if that helps us. Anna Stewart is the receptionist for the Find Your Fund, a broker-dealer specializing in selling mutual funds. So receptionist, so far, I'm looking now to see if she's solely clerical or she's, making public contact. What's next about our person Anna here? Frequently, customers in the reception area ask Stewart questions about some of the mutual fund whose literature is placed in the reception area. Stewart is more than pleased when they do, and likes to offer her opinion of which funds are best. Well, she certainly has now crossed the solely clerical, right? She's making public contact regarding securities. Now, if it was just solely clerical and she responded by saying, I'm not registered, but we have some people who are, can I set up an appointment for them, or would you like to talk to them? That's an entirely different deal. So I think she's going to have to register as an agent because she's doing something beyond clerical. So let's see what choice says that. I've got 2 must register. Yep, B looks pretty good, right? B says must register an agent because she is going beyond strictly clerical work. I like that one. We'll see if we get that one right. C says must register because she receives the commissions whenever one of the customers, it doesn't matter where she's, successful in selling a mutual fund. So I like B better than C. C says she has to register because she's going to get commission. There's people who are registered who don't get commissions. When recommending a corporate security, an investment advisor representative, so this is not a 663 or 763, this is a 65 or a 66. This is an investment advisor representative. An investment advisor representative. Anyways, indicates the top officers of companies were responsible for the rapid growth of the LJB Corporation, a well-known, successful firm in the same industry. Under the Uniform Securities Act, all the following statements made by the agent So now it says agent. So this must be somebody who is registered as both an agent of the broker dealer and an investment advisor rep of the affiliated investment advisory firm. I don't know if that's going to have anything to do with the answering the question, but let's see. Under the Uniform Securities Act, all the following statements by the agent are permitted except. So one of these things is not okay. The president of this company was largely responsible for LJB's corporation's success. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. There is no doubt that we'll repeat success they enjoyed with LGB. We're not supposed to make any claims about the future. My crystal ball is broke. B says there's no doubt the officers will repeat this success. No, listen, that's totally inappropriate. President will be used to run. C is the president of the company will be used to run LBJ. Perfectly reasonable. D, time will tell whether they can repeat the success. There we go. That's reasonable. So B is except, are permitted except. So that's not permitted to say there is no doubt that they will repeat their success from their previous company. Which of the following emails sent using the broker dealer's account has no retention? Well, broker terms have record retention rules, lifetime 6 and 3, complaints are 4. And so let's see what this is about. Which of the following emails using the broker dealer's account has no retention requirement? An email to all customers informing them of a fee charge. No, I think fee change. I think that's definitely going to be retained. B, an email confirming a dinner reservation at a local restaurant with one of the firm's customers. That sounds more personal than business in nature, but let's see. So far, I like B. C, an email to select customers informing of a new issue. That should be retained. An email, that's C. D, an email to a customer confirming a meeting to discuss the portfolio. So I would use the Sesame Street trick here. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things is not like the other. And it seems like the email about dinner reservation. I don't know, kind of a fantasy question, because if it's going through the server, it will be captured. But, anyways, the answer here is B. B, I think, is our best answer. We'll find out when we score it. Let's see. An applicant for registration as an investment advisor discloses on its application, so this is a Form ADV, that it plans to use palm readers. Oh, man. Kaplan's funny. To help determine which investments are most suitable for their clients. Under the Uniform Securities Act, the administrator is empowered to deny the application for just cause. Well, I'm not sure. Let's see if we have what the answers are here. We'll probably turn the SEC for guidance now. The state administrator, don't take loosey-gooseys like they'll probably know. Will request the applicant furnish the past performance record to determine whether this form of analysis for denial may only will request the applicant furnish past performance records to determine whether this method of investment analysis has merit. I don't think so. May only justify denial for reasons listed in the Uniform Securities Act. Yeah, we just can't, be prejudicial. I don't like this question, but given this answer set, I think D is our best choice here. Again, under the Uniform Securities Act, the administrator may only justify denial for reasons listed in the Uniform Securities Act. It has to be in the public interest, and then remember, they have to give you written findings, so they just can't say they're not going to do it. We'll see. That one's kind of funky. Which of the following, when a broker dealer registers with the state administrator, which of the following agents are automatically registered with the state? Wow, don't you wish this was you? Which of the following are automatically registered with the state? Now, there's a lot of information on Form BD. Form BD is how we form a broker dealer. And there's a lot of information, particularly on the principles. So persons employed by the broker dealer are residents of the state, but employed in the state other than the administrator, no. Partners, directors, and officers of the broker dealer, yeah. So this would be, like JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon will be automatically registered. He's the CEO of JP Morgan. So partners, directors. And it makes sense why, by the way, because that Form ADV has as much information on the partners, directors, and officers as would be found on the U4. Person employed by the broker-dealer? No. Agents of the broker-dealer? No. It's B as in boy, partners, directors, officers. Remember to hit pause and answer yourself before you hear me, give you the what we hope is the right answer and some rationale. One thing that banks, insurance companies, and investment companies have in common is on the Uniform Securities Act, they are all included in the definition of. So, we have this category of investments called federally covered investments. And let's see if this is one thing that banks, insurance companies, investment have in common on the Uniform Securities. They are all included in the definition of. Yeah, they're all exempt investors? No. Sophisticated investors? No. Accredited investors? No. By the way, you should know it's not accredited investors because accredited investors, remember, are people who can accept an invitation to a private placement. They're living, breathing human beings that have certain net worth requirements or annual income requirements. And so you should certainly have been able to exclude them. The answer is C. They're all institutional investors. And, the state administrator doesn't really care about protecting institutional investors. So they're all institutional investors. Question 13 of 60. Which of the following statements? Now, this test prep vendors have a lot more of multiples than does the actual exam. So I guess good news or bad news, depending on what you feel about multiples of multiples. So which of the following statements are true? An agent must register in the state in which he advertises or solicits a security. Yes, that's you, right? That's you with your 6 or your 7. So that is certainly true. Now, as a multiple, we can shop our answer set and eliminate anything that doesn't have 1 in it. So now we have a 50-50. To make sales, an agent need not register in the state in which a broker-dealer is already registered. Oh, my goodness, that is not true. And if you said it was, I would probably take more than 2 points away from you. If you're soliciting a resident of a state, a retail investor, you need to be registered in the state. And you can't register in the state unless the broker-dealer is. So we need something with 1, but without 2. So we got one answer that works. Under no circumstance may an agent register with 2 unrelated broker-dealers. That's not true. At a large financial institution, there might be 2 affiliated broker-dealers. And as long as it's disclosed and, the state administrator is aware of it, it's not a problem. 4, a secretary for a broker-dealer as a courtesy takes orders from the broker-dealer clients must be registered. That is true. So 1 and 4 is true. Which of the following clients of a registered investment advisor is exempt from requirement to receive annual delivery of the investment advisor's brochure? This is Form ADV Part 2. That can serve as a brochure. You can have your own brochure, but it should have the same disclosures. An individual receiving impersonal advisory for services billed at $150 a quarter. Well, $150 a quarter is $600, and that's more than it's got to be less than $500 for that. So A is not true. First National Bank of Bigville, a bank whose deposits are insured by the FDIC, they're capable of protecting their own assets, their own interests. So it says receive. Which are the exempt from receiving? If if they're a client, they're still going to get this. So I don't like B. C, capital growth fund. There we go. Mutual funds are capable of protecting their own interests. So I'm going to go for the capital growth fund. We'll see if we get that one right. But the point is, mutual funds, as an investment advisor to a mutual fund, I do not have to give the mutual fund my brochure. So I don't really like the ABD choices as distractors, but the answer is C. And, Kaplan, good news, Kaplan are bigger jerks than the real jerks. They're trying to stretch your mind and hope it doesn't go back to the same spot. So the Kaplan questions are tougher than the actual question, but the takeaway is definitely testable. The idea of the $500 and the idea that we don't have to give it to a mutual fund. An agent may share in the profits or losses of a customer account. This is very testable. With written authorization, it says customer approves. No. That's A. B. Prior written authorization is obtained from the customer and the employing broker dealer. That's true. And then it says C. Employing broker dealer approves. Sharing is limited to the agent's proportional contribution. Sharing is limited to the agent. So an agent may share in the profits or losses of a customer account if there's prior written authorization from the customer and the employing broker dealer. And then there's got to be proportionate capital and principal approval. So that would be a follow-on. But given that answer set, B looks like our best answer. I don't like this idea it's limited to the proportionate, it should be proportionate capital. So not a big fan of that question. Which of the following is an example of a fraudulent practice? A lot of your questions, good news, you should get a lot of them about don't lie, cheat, or steal. Don't lie, cheat, or steal, right? So furnishing fictitious quotations, absolutely. It's harder to do now because people have smartphones, but when I came to the business, I'm dating myself as a dinosaur, but the only way you got a quote was to call the broker because we had the data feed, and it cost big bucks to get the data feed that would tell you what's trading. And brokers a lot of times would get in trouble for giving somebody a feel-good quote like the day high or something. Big no. I'm going for A, but let's see what our other choices are. Furnishing fictitious quotations, and big no. Broker dealer selling a security at the offer price. No, we do that all the time. As a market maker, I'm always, marking it up on the offer price. So B, not a problem. Refusing to guarantee customer against a loss, you're not supposed to do that, but that's not fraudulent. Refusing to do it is actually what you're supposed to do. D, recommending U.S. securities to a conservative investor, that's a good thing. So the answer is A. Under the Uniform Securities Act, an agent who deliberately gives a fictitious quote to a customer. So this is it sounds like a follow-up to the one we just were looking at. So now they're saying, what's going to happen to this person? Is guilty of a felony and subject to criminal penalties. Well, unethical practices don't land you in jail. So that seems kind of harsh. Is committed to selling our own 100 shares at that price. Is committed to selling or buying. That has nothing to do with answering this question. I think what they're trying to get you to bite for is that maybe I'm backing away from firm quote, but that's not what this is about. Has committed a fraudulent act. There we go. Must execute at the price quoted. So maybe they're talking about my bid and my ask, regardless of the spread, but it's the size of the quote. So maybe Dean must read that fictitious quote question on the previous one. That's my dog Sawyer. Right? He's probably somebody at the door that he's upset with. I don't know if that's come through on the mic. Let me kill the mic here real quick. Sawyer. Okay, so it looks like the Sawyer is sitting down here in the studio, so we'll keep him here in the studio. And keep him. Oh my goodness. I'd like to give you, hope you're scoring well enough to give yourself permission on some of these questions, like guess B, and say, I'm just going to assign that one to the universe and move on. Woo. With regard to an investment advisor's brochure, disclosure must be made to all current clients and to prospective clients regarding material disciplinary action. Which of the following would not have to be disclosed? So again, key phraseology on your exam is material. The material fact of something would alter somebody's investment decision. Immaterial is something that would not alter an investment decision. So I think what we're looking for in this question is, again, Sesame Street trick. One of these things is not as a big a deal as one of these three other things. So let's work our way through the answer set and see what our choices are. Would not have to be disclosed. A, self-regulatory organization proceedings in which the advisor or management person caused the business to lose its registration. That sounds material. The firm or individual was barred, suspended, or expelled, and a fine in excess of $2,500 or limitation was placed on the advisor or management person's activities. So one thing you can do, as I mentioned, you could put T or F. You have to do it on your scratch paper. But let me get out my annotation tool and let's see if Dean's little thing works here. So I'm going to call that material. And we're looking for one of these things that is not material. So let me get smaller font here. So I think, yeah, that doesn't seem like that needs to be disclosed. B, state or regulatory proceedings in which the advisor or a management person was found to have violated rules or statutes that led to the denial, suspension, or revocation of the firms or individual. Yeah, I'm going to say that's material. And, we're looking for something that's not material. A material fact is the kind of fact that would alter a decision. I saw an agent being interviewed one time. They asked him why he didn't tell the customer this information. He said, I thought I'd lose the sale. I mean, that's the all-time worst answer. Court proceedings, such as a permanent or temporary injunction against the firm or management pertaining to investment advisor-related activity or any felony, that's material. So it looks like through process of elimination, I'm stuck with D here. Let's see D. If I'm saying that A, B, C are material, I'm saying D is not. So let's see what D says. A court of competent jurisdiction leveled a civil fine of $100,000 against the firm resulting from a lawsuit filed by a newsletter publisher claiming the advisor used the publisher's intellectual property without permission. Yeah, I think, maybe that's bad. I don't think that's something, that sounds like in the normal course of business that might happen. I think of all these other things, though, that seems to be the one that is least important. So I'm going to go for D, using what I call process of elimination. Process of elimination, meaning all these other things are definitely, related to whether you want to do business with this person or not. Which of the following is not a fraudulent practice? So 3 of these things are fraudulent practices. 1 of these things is not. And so let's see. Entering a buy order for a stock at the same time another agent enters a sale order for the purpose of creating the appearance of market activity in the stock. So there's been no effective change in the ownership there. That's giving the false impression of volume. That's called a wash sale. So A is definitely a fraudulent device. B, quoting a lower than market price to get an order, then telling customer price jumped after the order was taken. That's definitely a fraudulent practice. C, buying the shares of stock on one exchange and simultaneously selling the same shares on another exchange. That's called arbitrage. Arbitrage is perfectly legal. Arbitrage is profiting from price discrepancies. And so C is definitely not a problem. There's this crypto billionaire guy named SPF. I don't know nothing about crypto, but he was saying you got to start as an arbitrageur. Nothing illegal about this. As an arbitrageur, he was profiting from price discrepancies of Bitcoin on one exchange versus another. So what he would do is go long the Bitcoin on the lower exchange and short it on the higher exchange and profit from that price discrepancy. That's called arbitrage, not a problem. D, protecting a nervous client by inflating the value of their account. No. Under the Uniform Securities Act, it is not considered unlawful for an agent. Not unlawful for an agent. If they omitted a material fact because she knew she did not have time to cover everything in the short presentation, no, it's okay for you to omit immaterial facts, make editorial decisions on immaterial facts, the kind of facts that wouldn't alter a decision. But remember, material facts are the kind of facts you need to disclose. So that's definitely going to be a problem. They're asking me for something that's not a problem, not considered unlawful. Deliberately failing to follow customers' instructions. Again, that's unlawful. You made an untrue statement of a material fact. That's a problem. Actively soliciting orders in unregistered exempt securities. So these are treasury securities, muni securities. And that sounds like that is not a problem, right? So they're trying to get you to say it's bad. Unregistered is bad. So again, you got to be careful on these keywords. Let me get out my annotation tool. If you don't read this carefully, you're going to say, oh yeah, this is bad, right? Unregistered. But then it tells you the next word is it's exempt, right? So boy, 63, the exempt makes it okay, right? Exempt securities. I'm not going to go through the laundry list. We're doing an explication of this thing, but U.S. government securities, muni bonds, Canadian political subdivision, the sovereign government of Canada, that whole laundry list. I'll probably do a video where I just go over registering a security. I have the slides ready. If you're interested in that, put in that in the comment box and I'll Try and get that up in a timely fashion. If depending on when you're watching that, who knows, it probably is already up. All right, let's see what our next one is. Let me clean up my slide. Under the Uniform Securities Act, the administrator, I've just set my little egg timer here. These explications of practice finals are longer videos. I understand that, but good news, there's a pause. As you pause to answer your question yourself, you can also take a pause and step away and take a break. I'm going to continue to move forward, but these usually come in an hour plus. So it's about 30 minutes we've been at it, a little over 30 minutes. So if you want to take a break, you're about a third of the way through, and you're more than welcome to do that. I am going to continue on. Under the Uniform Securities Act, the administrator may deny or revoke a registration if an agent, so that's you again, submits an incomplete application. Absolutely. You willfully violate the Uniform Securities Act. It means you knew the rules and you chose not to do them. You have no prior sales experience. Well, listen, if you're taking 63, it's very likely you have no prior sales experience. I think, by the way, depending on what you've been hired to do, that's going to be a challenge, getting out there and finding customers, right? So 3 is not true. 1 and 2 are. 4 was convicted of a non-securities related misdemeanor 4 years ago. Remember, it has to be a securities related misdemeanor, and it's the state in which, it took place. So the answer here is 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Under the Uniform Securities Act, the administrator may deny or revoke the exemption from registration. So, in English, again, it's like learning a foreign language. They say when you dream the foreign language, that's when you know it. So I guess when you first have your first Uniform Securities Act dream, that's when you know it. So they're talking here, it looks like, I'm just checking this out. My answer set, transactions or securities. A security issued by a nonprofit. Yeah, the state administrator can revoke that and say, you're normally under the template. You're getting tested, by the way, on a template, not your actual securities laws of your state. Thank goodness. If it wasn't, then you'd have to take 50 different tests. But yeah, under the template, the Uniform Securities Act, the administrator can revoke the exemption for a nonprofit and say, hey, listen, moving forward, pretend you're no longer exempt because you aren't. I'm revoking that exemption for you. Yep. 2, investment contracts of employee benefit plans. Yep. An exempt transaction not involving a federally covered securities, that would be a Reg D private placement, it sounds like. So that's 1, 2, and 3. I think that's kind of low probability, but it's all about the administrator and the power of the administrator. The administrator has a lot of power. I joke, they're typically attorneys, and what they don't make in money, they get in power. And most of them have, ideas of doing other things besides being the state administrator. They hope to move on and, become a governor or senator, or whatever the case may be. An employee of a commercial bank is selling the bank's bonds to its banking clients, and it's acting in the capacity of, right, an agent of the issuer. Well, it sounds like, that sounds kind of good, but let me see what else is offered to me. A person excluded from the definition of an agent. That sounds pretty good, right? This employee is not an agent of a broker dealer. They're not an agent of a broker dealer. There's nothing in here that tells me they're receiving compensation. And commercial banks, remember, selling their own securities are exempt. So I like that one. They're certainly not an agent of a broker dealer, and they're not a broker dealer. So this is a good 50-50. I would feel good on a miss here with A. I'm going to go with B, and I'm going with B because they're excluded for as an issuer, an agent, as an employee of the issuer, and they're not considered an agent, right? They're not receiving compensation. So I think it's going to be B here. The one on your actual exam will be a little more straightforward. It'll be somebody who's representing the issuer in a exempt transaction. That will be the person who doesn't have to be registered with no compensation. 24. The NASA brochure, model brochure rule for investment advisors requires the delivery of a brochure. You can expect more than one question about the brochure. Less than, if you're coming back for 65, I would tell you as 63, make sure you really spend the time here, because 65, about half of it is going to be the same stuff over again, the Uniform Securities Act. If you're just taking a 63, just disregard what I just said. Anyways, the NASA model brochure rule for investment advisors requires delivery of a brochure containing information about the advisor's background and business practices in all the following circumstances except. So one, when the service provided, so remember, except means when I don't have to do it. When the service provided is an individual supervisory service. No, I do have to provide it in that scenario. So I need something without one because it's an except. So it's either C or D. Now, kind of good here as a test taker. If I know I'm taking excluding one because it says except, I don't need to burn up on brain cells on 2 and 3. Because if you shop the answer set, you see that C and D are the only answers now available to me. So now they accidentally gave me some free information. We've seen this in a previous question. When the client is an investment company, we said yes. If it's an investment company, I am not required to deliver the brochure. We talked about that previously. Remember, this says except. So 2, I do not need to deliver the brochure. 3, when the contract is for an impersonal advisory service requiring payment of less than $500. What does impersonal mean? It means like I put out a newsletter, Dean's, penny stock speculator, $499.99. So, I'm not saying this is to you. I'm selling this to more than one person. So that is true as well. So 3 is true. So 2, 3. Now by the way, I had to take 2 and 3 anyways, because remember I excluded 1. So now I just got to decide about 4. Be careful. The only thing that $1 million net worth is about is, can you accept an invitation to private placement? Period, full stop. That's all that means on this exam. So if you start bringing that $1 million net worth into other questions, then can they accept an invitation to a Reg D private placement? You're going to miss all kinds of questions. It's 2 and 3, 2 and 3. 25. CDL Securities. CDL Securities is a broker-dealer doing business in several states, including State M. The administrator of State M has just published a rule requiring all broker-dealers registered in the state to maintain records 2 years longer than the SEC rule, 17A4. Now, again, as a test taker, you should be able to say, oh, whoa. I don't think state administrators can impose on broker-dealers a higher standard than what the SEC requires. So that's a huge red flag just right out of the gate. The SEC's record-keeping retention rule. CDL refuses to comply with the administrator's new rule. Which of the following is true? This is very testable. The state administrator, the administrator of State M, cannot require broker-dealers to have a higher standard than that of the SEC. This applies to net capital as well, net worth, net capital. So the answer here is B. That is very testable. That is very testable. Regarding the definition of an agent, that's you, 663, 763. An agent may be an individual or a partnership. No, remember we said agents are living, breathing human being walking planet Earth, right? And so partnerships aren't living, breathing human beings walking planet Earth. An agent may be a broker-dealer. No. An agent, again, is a living, breathing human being walking planet Earth. Broker-dealers aren't living, breathing human beings. Partnerships and broker-dealers are unnatural persons. C, an agent represents a broker-dealer. That sounds like you. Yeah, or an issuer in affecting or attempting to affect the purchase and sales of securities. Yeah, that sounds pretty damn good. That's pretty much what it is, right? So C, an agent represents a broker-dealer or an issuer in affecting or attempting to affect the purchase and sales of securities. A client is unsure of her financial objectives and does not give you any personal financial information. So, this is called the know your customer rule. I mean, how am I going to give you recommendations if I don't know anything about you? Right. So I said, well, listen, client says, none of your damn business. I go, well, it is. I mean, the state administrator, the SEC, and FINRA says that for me to make recommendations to you, I need to know something about you. So if you won't give me that information, all I'm going to be able to do is accept unsolicited orders. Unsolicited orders. Securities of which of the following are exempt under the Uniform Securities Act? Remember what exempt means. It means we're not going to have to register them under the Uniform Securities Act. So national banks, yeah, it's not that national banks get a free pass. It's that, banks have a different regulatory authority. National banks don't answer to the state administrator, when offering their securities. They answer to the Federal Reserve Board, the Comptroller of Currency, and FDIC. Same for state banks. State banks are exempt not because they get a free pass. It's they have a different regulator. It's the banking commissioner of the state, not the state administrator. 3, bank holding companies. Now, a holding company is not exempt. A holding company is a company that owns other core companies. I have a good little graph on that on the Mighty 90. I start that lecture by showing you what a holding company looks like. And federal savings loan, I think this is a pretty stupid question, but it's 1, 2, and 4. There's the laundry list of what we call exempt securities. So 1, 2, and 4. The AFRA Compassionate Finance Company is offering $100 million of commercial paper. So sounds like maybe this is about an exempt security because commercial paper is exempt from registration on the Uniform Securities Act. The paper is available at minimum denominations of 100,000 and has been rated AA by a leading rating organization. You're going to get tormented. Well, I'm not so much on 63, but other exams. Anyways, I was going to go into a discussion of money market securities, but you're not going to need that. Who of the following would be required to register as an agent in State L to order to legally sell the security in the state? Now, be careful on this one. Boy, this question made quite a U-turn at the end. It looked like it was a question about an exempt security, commercial paper, but at the end, it ends up being a question about an agent of a broker-dealer, right? And so there's no situation in which the agent of the broker-dealer doesn't need to be registered in the state, so be careful. It doesn't matter if the security is exempt or the transaction's exempt. If you work as an agent of a broker-dealer, you have to be registered in the state where you're conducting business. So the answer is B. So be careful. That was one that took a little U-turn there at the end of the first sentence. So this question isn't about exempt securities. It's about agents of broker-dealers having to be registered. A margin account is a type of brokerage account in which the broker-dealer lends the investor cash to purchase securities using marginable securities in the account as collateral. Which of the account documents authorizes the use of those securities as collateral for the loan? So the credit agreement tells you that you're borrowing money and you're paying interest based on broker call. The hypothecation agreement is where you say you understand you're pledging your securities as collateral for the loan, and therefore the securities are going to be in street name. And that loan consent form is optional. The loan consent. That should be familiar to you based on your 7 or your SIE perhaps. Yeah, maybe not on your 6, but that's called the hypothecation agreement. That's how we're lending you money. And if you don't fulfill your responsibilities, now this is a big time test fodder. If you don't fulfill your responsibilities as your bona fide lender, I can sell you out. And remember this, securities being liquidated by a creditor are not subject to the jurisdiction of the Uniform Securities Act. So I need to worry about whether the security I'm liquidating has been registered ever. So the answer is B. The securities industry term discretionary. So discretionary is when I'm going to make a decision about action, asset, or amount. And if a third party is going to make a decision about action, asset, or amount, action, whether to buy or sell, asset, which security to buy or sell, and the amount, that's a discretionary trade. It requires trading authorization or power of attorney. I do not need discretionary authority to make a decision about time and price. Time and price. All right, let's go through our answer set. A, an account in which a person has power of attorney over an incompetent individual's account. No. B, an account in which the agent has the power to decide which securities to buy or sell, action, without the customer's authorizations for those specific trades. I like that one. That's looking pretty good. C, an order that specifies the size, security, and action. So action, asset, amount, size, amount, security, asset, and action, time, and price. That's not a discretionary order. So C is not. An account in which someone is given custodial power? No. Given the answer set, it's B. By the way, we just crossed the halfway point, and we've been at about 45 minutes. So just if you know, just so you kind of know where we're at. And which of the following cases with the Uniform Securities Act require registration of an investment advisor who has no place of business in the state? So this sounds like it's going to be a little bit of a tricky one, right? Because once we say place of business, then it has to be registered, right? We have to have no place of business. So he had more than 5 non-institutional clients who were residents of the state. Non-institutional means retail. And remember, de minimis is no more than 5. So more than 5 means 6 or 7. So de minimis is Latin for who it's so small you care. So that looks like a problem. Institutional clients we never care about. So B says 5 institutional clients. Who cares? State administrator isn't protecting institutionals. Website is seen by the residents of the state under new circumstance. There's no place. Don't ever say you don't have to be registered under no circumstance. It looks like we can't use the de minimis here in scenario A. So if I have more than 5 retail clients, same as saying non-institutional, I'm going to have to register, right? It's no more than 5, and this says more than 5. So just be real careful. I had somebody yesterday on the channel, maybe she's going to be watching this. This is our second final we have available. There's a Test Geek 63 practice final as well. And she called me and she says, it says less than 6. I said, and I know it's 5 or less. I said, less than 6 is no more than 5. There's a lot of ways to say things. So just be careful. Anyways, we'll go for A on that one. Which of the following statements regarding broker-dealer registration is true? Which of the following regarding broker-dealer registration is true? In the absence, boy, I told you, I wish you could give yourself, or hope you're scoring high enough, you can give yourself permission to just, like long ones like this, just assign them the humors and say, I'll make it up elsewhere. Which of the following statements regarding broker-dealer registration of the Uniform Securities Act is true? In the absence of any action by the administrator, the effective date of the registration is noon of the 45th day. No, it's not noon of the 45th day. It's noon of the 30th day. That is not true. So I can eliminate choice 1. The administrator may initiate a disciplinary action within 2 years. No, it's 1 year, not 2, it's 1. So now I can eliminate 2. 3, the administrator may request the broker-dealer furnish a statement of assets and liabilities. That is certainly true. 4, if before the effective date of the registration, the administrator requires amendments to the application, the registration, I got my video feed over the question, will be considered to have been filed upon filing those amendments. That's true. It's 3 and 4. P.S. You should have known that 1 and 2 are not true. But what I mean by that is you should have known that 1 is noon of the 30th day, and you should have known initiate disciplinary action is 1 year, not 2. So, which of the following may an agent determine without discretionary authority? We said time and price, right? If you're going to make a decision about action, asset, or amount, you need to have discretionary authority. So time and price does not constitute discretionary authority. That's called execution, getting somebody good execution. So happens all day long. Buy 10,000 shares of GE today at whatever time and price you think looks good. In the 63 exam, solicitors. So solicitors are third parties, typically for investment advisors. I spent a big part of my career, or I should say the last part of my career, as a solicitor for investment advisory firms. My broker-dealer would be hired to go out and find them. If you're soliciting on the 63, in the most cases, you're going to be an investment advisor for a state covered, and that would require you to be either a 65 or 66. Now, I like Chuck is the guy who's in charge of the QBank at Kaplan and NASA exams. And he said on the 63 exam, right? So, that whole scenario I was about to go into about broker dealers and about federally covered. So I like the kind of couch that by saying, 63 exam. All right. So let's see. Form ADV Part 2, remember, serves as the brochure. And you should have, you can expect at least a couple questions on Form ADV Part 2. Which of the long statements is true? It must be delivered no later than 48 hours prior to entering the investment advisory contract. That is not true. Now, if I don't do that, there's going to be a free look period where you can rescind it, but I can show up, with it with me and just hand it to you. Say, here you go, doctor. So that is not true. Unless there are no material changes, it must be delivered to clients annually. That is true. It must be delivered no later than receipt. No, must always come. No, unless there's material changes, we deliver it annually. If there's a material change, remember, material is a key word on the exam. Something that would alter your investment decision. Well, then we should probably do it, promptly. The 48 hours is about if I don't give you the brochure, then you get a 5-day free look. So that's a different thing. Which of the following does not meet the definition of providing investment advice as outlined in 1092? The SEC has primary jurisdiction, interpretation, and enforcement of the domestic securities laws of the United States of America. And so when we can't decide what a word means, we ask the SEC, we say, hey, we're not quite sure what this word means. What do you mean by this? And, financial planners and insurance agents, or to me, not insurance agents, financial planners, agents for sports and entertainment figures, we're asked, are we investment advisors? And, do we meet this ABC test? Do we give investment advice? Are we in the business and compensation? And so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody here who does not meet that definition. So a management consultant whose only investment advice is suggesting to a couple of small business, they invest their surplus in speculative securities, that they should find something less risky. Management consultants weren't spelled out in 1092, and it sounds like that investment advice is incidental. B, a financial planner who provides specific investment advice as part of his fee-based services. Yeah, that's what 1092 is about, financial planners. An attorney who advertises their availability of investment advice. So again, attorney here who's negotiating contracts for entertainers and athletes, but also says, and I can manage your money too. Yeah, certainly. An accountant who charges a client a additional fee for providing investment advice. Yeah. Given that answer set, it sounds like the person that wasn't included in that interpretive release is A. ABC Securities, a broker-dealer, has a wholly owned subsidiary, ABC Real Estate Ventures. ABC Real Estate Ventures is in the business of structuring limited partnership offerings designed to afford qualified investors an opportunity to earn income from commercial property. If an agent representing ABC Securities were to recommend one of these programs to a qualified client, wow, so it sounds like there's a affiliation here. ABC Securities, by the way, has a control relationship with ABC Real Estate Ventures. What control relationship means is the broker-dealer is controlling the issuer here, right? Because a wholly owned subsidiary. I think I'm going to have to make some disclosure here about that relationship. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. So let's see. A, the agent would be engaging in an unethical business practice. No. There's a control relationship between Bank of America and Merrill Lynch. That doesn't mean you can't buy Bank of America stock from Merrill Lynch. It just needs to be disclosed. It would be necessary to obtain consent from the agent's supervisor. Well, the agent's supervisor is the person who works at ABC Securities too, right? So, C, disclosure of the potential conflict. That sounds like a good answer. All right. Sale cannot take place now. Its answer is C. It's called a control relationship. Control relationships need to be disclosed. That would be the same, by the way, if it's a proprietary product as well of the broker-dealer. So if I'm a Morgan Stanley broker and I sell you a Morgan Stanley mutual fund, that needs to be disclosed. Let's see, under the NAS, whoa, gee, what did I do there? Hit the wrong button. Let's see, under an asset statement of policy investments. You get a lot of questions on unethical business practices, right? So, don't lie, cheat, or steal, as we mentioned. Prohibited. So 3 of these things are okay, and 1 is prohibited. A, I tell you, you should add a few more dollars to reach a break point. That is not prohibited. That's a good thing, right? I say, listen, we have these client discounts. Make sure you're reading the question, because breakpoints are good. Breakpoint sales are bad. Breakpoints are good. Breakpoint sales are bad. That's a good thing. Explain to the mutual fund with a contingent deferred sales charge cannot be referred to as no load. Yeah, you're never supposed to misuse no load terminology. C, fail to disclose you have a position in the securities being recommended. So that's okay, but it needs to be disclosed. So failing to disclose that would be a prohibited practice, right? We're a market maker in the security. We have inventory in the security, or we also own the security in our proprietary accounts. Fine, just needs to be disclosed. Disclose non-material information. No, remember, non-material means it's not important. Immaterial, not material. So the answer there is C. Okay, we're coming up on an hour. I told you these explications. So if you're giving yourself a 30-minute break, now would be the time to take a break, hit pause, and come back. I'm going to continue to march on because I want to put this thing to bed here at some point. So Toby is registered as an agent with extrapolable investment returns, a broker-dealer, registered with the SEC and the state administrator. Toby has a customer who's concerned about the possible decline in the value of her invested capital. Toby has suggested a U.S. Treasury bond maturing in 15 years, telling the client you can't lose money in a Treasury security. Oh, my goodness. That's a fundamental misunderstanding of interest rate and credit risk. You don't have credit risk, the risk of default, but you certainly in a 15-year Treasury have interest rate risk. If interest rates go up, the Treasury security is going down. That may or may not be an issue depending on whether you're going to hold it to maturity. But it certainly sounds like that's something that Toby should not have said. Toby could have said, you don't have any credit risk, but, then I should have talked about interest rate risk. Made an unsuitable recommendation because the investment in the common stock will likely provide a greater return. No. Misstated the facts because Treasury bonds do fluctuate in value. Ding, 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 ding. Made an unsuitable recommendation because she'll have to wait. No. Highly suitable. No. The answer is B. Misstated the facts because Treasury bonds do fluctuate in value. So you don't have credit risk in a Treasury note or Treasury bond, but you certainly have interest rate risk. A customer determines that he has sold an unregistered, non-exempt, man. That's about as big as a problem as we can encounter on a 63 exam. Boy, these words are big time, right? Unregistered, non-exempt security. Oh my goodness, it gets worse. In a non-exempt and a prohibited transaction. Oh my God. Oh, I think that's the whole 63 right there. Yeah, in accordance with the Uniform Securities Act, he can exercise his right to sue. It's 2 years from the discovery, right, or 3 years from the occurrence, whichever is sooner. So that's a aim and shoot. You should just memorize that. So 2 years from discovery, 3 years of occurrence, whichever is sooner. On those kind of questions, maybe you're taking notes while you're taking it, you should just write it down, right? Just write it down and have it there as something you should know. You want to make sure you get all the aim and shoot point and click stuff you're entitled to on these NASA exams. Which of the following may an agent determine? I think we've seen this over and over again. Remember, I can't make a decision about action, asset, amount, but I can make a decision about time and price. That's called getting good execution. To protect the public, the administrator may do all the following except. So protect the public, and I just can't take action without telling you why what I'm doing is going to protect the public. So I have a lot of power, but, deny the registration of an agent with insufficient net capital. Well, remember, net capital standards aren't about you and agent 66 or 763 or 663. Net capital is about either the broker dealer net capital or net worth of an investment advisor. It ain't about you. So, there's no net capital or net worth for you. I like that. Let's see what our other ones say. So that's A. They may do all the following except deny your registration as an agent. And when it says agent on the test, I'd say that's me. Without net capital, that's what I love about our business. It doesn't require any net capital, net worth to get in our business. The firms have to have it, but not you. Require an applicant for registration to submit to an oral examination. Yes. I wish they did more of that sometimes because, some people don't do well on written exams. C, require an applicant for registration as both a broker-dealer and investment advisor to limit activities to those of a broker-dealer due to lack of qualifications to render investment advice. Yeah. Deny the registration of an investment advisor whose assets under management are less than 100 because you belong to the state. Yes. The takeaway from this question is that agents don't have net capital or net worth standards. And remember, the other test question is that the state can impose upon a broker-dealer a higher net worth or net capital standard than the SEC requires for that broker-dealer, and it can do the same with record retention, can impose. All the following actions must be completed prior to customers entering their first option trade except. So what I'm going to give you is the OCC disclosure document that tells you all the bad things that can happen to you. I'm going to go back to my ROP, my registered option principle, try and get you improved. Didn't we do the first trade? From the time I get your account approved, you have 15 days to get back to me the document that you read it and understood it. So we are going to enter the first trade before we get the options agreement. So we have this, period where we can do trades with you because you got to work your way through the book and it's 100+ pages. So I say, hey, good news, I got you approved. And you say, well, Dean, I haven't signed the option agreement. I say, I know. You remember, because when you sign it, what you're signing is that you read and understood the booklet. So where are you on? Are you on page 80 or 90 or what page are you on? PELF Professional Services is an SEC registered broker-dealer in 13 states. So broker-dealers are going to have to register with the SEC, FINRA in at least one state, if not more, depending on how many retail customers they have in various states. And very important to see that this is a question about a broker-dealer. Which of the following customers moving to a state that's not one of the 13 would cause PPIS to need registration? So what we're looking for, again, is a retail customer. And remember, I said, don't go for this trick. You're still a retail customer, even if you're accredited. All accreditation means on 63 is that you can accept an invitation to Reg D private placement. That's it. You're still a retail investor and entitled to the protections of your state administrator within the state. So again, make sure you don't fall for that as a trick. The only thing accredited means is that you can accept an invitation, to be for a Reg D private placement. Hey, good news. Once you pass either your 7 and you're in good standing, or you're 65 and you're good standing, that means you're registered, you too will be an accredited investor. Which of the following would be a conflict of interest as an agent? So that's you. So they're asking you to recognize conflicts of interest as it relates to an agent of the broker-dealer. You buy a security for your own account shortly after many of your clients have acted on your buy recommendation for that stock. I just like to put myself into the cast of characters. B, so we're looking for a conflict of interest. Does not recommend securities he believes present environmental hazards. That's fine. That's called becoming more and more popular all the time. That's called ESG investing. People want to make investments that are environmentally friendly, have social good, and provide good corporate governance, ESG. That's fine. Only recommends securities in the industry in which he was formerly employed by, and wishes he had specialized education training. That sounds good. Recommends a stock to many of his clients immediately after purchasing some of the shares for himself. So that's called front running when you're trading ahead of your customers. That's a big no-no, a conflict of interest. Recommends the stock to many of his clients immediately after purchasing those shares for himself. Clients should come first is the point. Under Uniform Securities Act, the executive of an investment advisor from which the officers, partners, or managers of the investment advisor direct, control, or coordinate the activities of the investment advisor is properly referred to as, this sounds like a supervisory person to me. Let's see what answers are available to us. The principal office and place of business, the register office, the OSJ, the home office. Well, remember, you're taking a NASA exam, so OSJ is a FINRA term. Under the Uniform Securities Act, the executive office of the investment advisor sounds like the home office, from which the officers, partners, and managers advise, direct, or control. I think it's the principal office, the home office, right? Hey, we'll see if we get it right. I think that's the best answer. There's no such thing as a registered office. That's just, what is that? I have no idea. OSJ is a FINRA term and home office is a FINRA term. If we missed it, it's going to be D. So let's see how, we do on that one. I might miss that. They might be looking for D there. Omar is registered as an agent with Proper Investment Planning, PIP, a broker-dealer registered in state Z. Omar is offered a substantial recruitment package and elects to join Integrity Investment Advisors under the provisions of the Uniform Securities Act. So this happens all the time. You're leaving firm A to go to firm B. Under the provisions, who's got to tell who about what? So, who's going to tell the state administrator? So here he's registered as an agent, broker-dealer. He's joining Integrity Investment under the provisions of the Act. So we're asking who is going to do it. So Omar, PIP, and the firm are going to notify the state administrator. I'm looking for here, I don't like that we call this the investment, the PIP, the investment IIA. There we go. Okay. I do like that. I just get hung up here on where's this thing about investment advisor? These are both broker dealers. So Omar, the old firm, and the new firm are all going to notify the state administrator, which is Omar and PIP. Boom. I think that's B. Right? Rep both firms and notify the state administrator. Broker dealer A wants to promote and reward teamwork. The firm plans to pay a small percentage of the firm's profits to the clerical staff as a bonus for hard work. I got in trouble one time making fun of the referral fees that this brokerage firm was paying to its employees because it was big time, the big time that they were paying, but the amount that they were giving as bonuses was not material. I thought, man, if those employees know, what that small bonus is in relationship to, right? Small percentage. Anyways, again, the key word here, the firm plans to pay a small percentage to the clerical staff as a bonus of their hard work. Yeah, again, it's immaterial, so no registration is necessary. And they're not being directly compensated for transactions, right? The Uniform Securities Act mandates that contracts between investment advisors and the clients, again, multiples, looks like we're looking for what is true about these written investment advisory contracts. They must be in written form. That is indeed true, and that is very testable. Provided no discretion take place without prompt notification of the client, and that's not true. Right? Once I have discretionary authority, I'm going to be managing the account. So 1 is true, 2 is not. Disclose the method of compensation? Absolutely. So 1 and 3. Include the steps? No. So 1 and 3 is our answer hit. Must be in written form, and we disclose the method of our compensation, usually a percentage of assets under management. Joan, who has a PhD in economics, has been employed as an agent of Gibraltar Securities for the last 15 years. Missing academic life, she resigns from the broker-dealer and accepts a position as economic professor at the State University. Which party, if any, is required to notify the state administrator? I think we had one very similar to this one just a bit ago, right? It's both her and the firm. So both Joan and the firm would notify the state administrator. Remember, we had the one where the guy was leaving to go to another firm. Here, not leaving to join another firm. Joan is going to, leave the industry. Oh my goodness! I would hope you have a bonus abundance, not scarcity, and questions like this. You go, oh my God! I think I'll assign this one to the universe. So here, which of the following regarding the registration of investment advisors and their representatives is true? True. So we're looking for true. There's 3 false things and 1 true thing here. XYZ Advisors is a federally covered investment advisor registered with the SEC. Therefore, its reps do not register with the administrator. That's not true. You know, a investment advisor representative would have to register in at least one state, the state in which the federally covered investment advisor has the home office. So that's not true. B, ABC Advisors is an investment advisory firm registered with the administrator, so state covered. Therefore, its representatives must notify the administrator whenever there's a termination. That is not true. Not true. An investment advisor representative determined by its employment with ABC Advisors 6 months later was employed at KLM, a federally covered advisor. Each firm is required to notify the administrator of each event. That is not true. And let's see what our next one is. So we're saying ABC or not. ABC Advisors, registered with the administrator, employs an investment advisor rep who left employment for another investment advisor 6 months ago. ABC must notify the administrator of the association promptly. It's actually called disassociation, right? Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. They disassociated and are reassociating with ABC. So D. Boy, that one's pretty wordy. As I said, if I were a test taker, I might guess B and assign that to the universe and just move on. However, one of the challenges on your 63 is there's not as many performance opportunities. So you can't really be assigning too many in the universe, or you're going to run into trouble pretty quickly. So, all right, 1. Chandra Jackson is an agent of a registered broker-dealer. That's you. Your uncle is the CEO of a publicly traded company. If you were to recommend the purchase of your uncle's stock, you would, well, remember what we said, you're going to disclose the potential conflict of interest, say, and no wonder I love the stock. It's my, relative who's running the place, right? By the way, there's nothing in the question about material non-public information. So it says guilty of trading on inside information. No. Need permission? No, it's the disclosure. Always disclosure. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. An investment advisor representative, 65, 66, with a federally covered advisor is also the agent of a broker-dealer. So this is 663, 65. The numbers aren't testable. I'm just giving it to you. Or 766 or 763, 65. That's what you have to be registered with both an agent of the broker-dealer and an investment advisor rep. And so here, all the following are true except we're looking for something that is not correct. The investment advisor rep must disclose that he's liable for any losses suffered in the account. No, you don't hold customers harmless. That's a major violation. Remember, it says except. You disclose the financial planning services that are separate from the broker-dealer? Absolutely. If we have a wrap account or something like this, we disclose what's included, what's not included. B is true. C, the investment advisor representative must disclose. By the way, every time I have an acronym, I'm just going to spell it out. So every time it says IAR, I'm going to say investment advisor representative. Must disclose that trades will be executed through his broker-dealer unless the client elects otherwise. Yep. The investment advisor must disclose he can earn commissions. Absolutely. So the thing that is prohibited is holding customers harmless. You can't say, hey, I'm liable for losses. No, this is your risk capital. You, the customer, are liable for any losses. Which of the following is the most appropriate action for an agent who hears a sensational rumor about a stock? Oh my goodness, social media. You got to be careful. You're watching this on YouTube and, sometimes I'll see something on the YouTube and go, what? And I go, whoa, I got to remind myself, this isn't a news organization. They're using it as clickbait. I follow the NBA, so it'll be some outrageous trade. And, now I don't click it because I know that it's just a rumor, but, oh, well. So what should you do? Anytime they tell you, should you report something to a supervisory person, always take that. Sometimes I say, read the full answer set And if that's an answer available to you, like a stipulated prospectus, take it. So A says report the rumor to the administrator, and you investigate the rumor, and you report it to your supervisory person. Yes, ding, 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 ding. Pass the rumor along to your clients. No. The compliance officer of a broker-dealer notices that an agent has been purchasing shares of Capital common stock for customer accounts over the past 2 months. Looks like we're at it like an hour and a half now, so we're almost done. These explications come in, over an hour. So, I do long form content for you. I hope you find it helpful. I don't do little, I do some shorts, but, most of the channel is long form content. Anyways, that being said, further investigation reveals that over 73% of the agent's clients have this stock in their account. Wow. It sounds like a concentrated position. I mean, I think that's kind of a red flag. This might be an indication of commingling. Well, there's nothing in this question about commingling. Commingling is when your money, my money, what's the difference? I'll treat your money as if it were my own. Segregation is a good thing. So commingling, there's nothing in this question about commingling. There's nothing in this question about inside information. It looks like my best answer is suitability in terms of this concentrated position. There's nothing about buying and selling that is excessive in size and frequency to generate commissions. And so I think C is our best answer. For a larger account, a broker dealer can waive or is most likely to waive its normal fee for which of the following? Yeah, I don't like this. It sounds like we're being discriminatory here, but let's see what my fees are. Wiring funds, it's the least likely to waive its normal fee. Yeah. I don't like the question, but I'm just looking at my answers that are available to me. Wiring the funds to a client's bank, I think gets me some goodwill to waive that fee for you. Well, what do I care if you're leaving to go to another firm? There's no goodwill to be had there. So I don't think I'm going to do that one. I think I get some goodwill for the annual account maintenance charge. Yeah. Safekeeping. I'm going to go for transferring the account just because I don't really think you're going to see this on your exam. But, that seems like the thing I'm least likely to waive for you because there's no goodwill acquired in doing that. Under Section 402 of the Uniform Securities Act, which of the following is a non-exempt transaction? A non-exempt transaction, right? So that means it's not a private placement, 10 offers. It's not a pre-organization certificate with 10 subscribers. It's not a fiduciary transaction, right? So a non-issuer unsolicited transaction. That is an exempt transaction under the Uniform Securities Act. A transaction executed by a trustee appointed by a bankruptcy code. That's a fiduciary officer of the court transaction. That would be trustee, sheriff, and the state administrator. That is an exempt transaction. The sale of a stock to a bank is an exempt transaction. The bank's able to protect its interest. I don't really like this question, but the treasury bond is not an exempt transaction. It's an exempt security, right? So I don't know if it's helpful. I think of exempt securities as a noun. It's a description. So treasury bill is an exempt security. And I think of exempt transactions as a verb, the way we're selling it. So A, B, and C are verbs, and D is a noun. An individual wishing to register as an agent of a broker-dealer would be required to file an application for registration that includes all the following except. They're asking you, what is on that Form U4? What is on that Form U4 except? Right? So again, this is a Uniform Securities Act. So except. You're going to have citizenship information, consent to service. Shouldn't have been struggling with that. You should definitely know consent to service, very testable. That's a permanent part of everybody's record. It allows the state administrator to, accept legal documents. Surprisingly enough, the Uniform Securities Act does not require a fingerprint card. Now, the SEC and FINRA do, but the Uniform Securities Act does not. I think that's pretty obtuse. I don't think you're going to see that on your actual exam, but oh well. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We are done with our explication almost. Our last performance opportunity. Burgeoning Capital Associates is a broker-dealer specializing in assisting corporations and municipalities with raising funds through the issuance of equity and debt securities. That sounds like a broker-dealer, right? That's the investment banking department of a broker-dealer. BCA, the broker-dealer, has places of business in state A, B, and C. We should definitely know that if a broker-dealer has a place of business in a state, it needs to be registered with that state. So this broker-dealer is definitely registered in state A, state B, and state C. Great Organics Products, a corporation domiciled in D, wishes to borrow $25 million. So I'm going to go call on the issuer here. The issuer is not a retail customer in state D. So it doesn't look like I'm so far going to have to register my broker-dealer in state D. GOP approaches BCA. So, oh man, I hate these acronyms. GOP is the issuer, approaches the investment banker who just suggests a 20-year debenture. The issuer, GOP, agrees, and the broker-dealer purchases the entire issue. That's called a firm commitment underwriting. Who cares? Based on the Uniform Securities Act. Is a broker-dealer in state D? No, I'm not a broker-dealer in state D unless I have a place of business or retail customers. Place of business, doesn't matter what kind of customers I am. This is very testable. Place of business, I register the broker-dealer. If I have no place of business in state D and I have any retail clients in state D, I have to register. But if I have no place of business in state D and I don't have any retail clients, I'm not going to have to register D. All right. So last time I did this, I messed up and I hit the button. I had some unanswered things. So I want to be kind of disciplined as I submit this thing. So we're going to submit it. Oh, looks like we missed one now. Let's see which one we missed. I thought I might have, I missed two. Let's see. I missed two. So let's see the two that Dean missed. Boom, go. I said that, boy, I would take this up. Which of the to authorize the use of the securities? I actually didn't miss that. It contains all of the terms of the law. Authorize the use of the securities. I don't think really, ladies and gentlemen, I missed that actually. So I'm petitioning. The credit agreement is where I tell you you're paying interest. Oh, I see. Now they're telling me that they're referring to the entire document as the credit agreement. I don't like that one. All right, let's see what our next one is. This is where I blew it last time. The term discretionary. Oh, no, that just gave me the next one. Just go to summary. Okay, let's see the other one I missed. Nope, I think we just did that one. What I said it, I missed two. I'm going to just call it a day if I can't figure this out. I've done this a couple times where I can't figure out. So here's the other. I think I missed two. Let's see what there we go. So on this one, whoa, I don't know why I can't figure out how to do the submit thing. I apologize. But you can go back and look and see what that question is and see how I missed it and put it in the comment box, and I'll either dispute it like I did that other one or move on. Remember, inch by inch, your 63 is a cinch, yard by yard, your 63 is hard. I respond quickly to comments and questions. So bon chance, mon ami, and I'll see you for the next thing. I have some 63 practice problems that I haven't put into the playlist yet. And if you are, depending on when you're watching this, if they're not in there and you're interested in them, let me know and I'll try and get another video up on those 63 practice questions.